Hi, I'm Dr. R.G. Allen Wilson. You may recognize me as a leading relationship expert for TV programs such as CNN, The Today Show, Good Day Philly, Fox 29, Tamron Hall Show, Mel Robbins Show, and local and national radio shows, just to name a few. I want to invite you to a very awesome opportunity that will enhance your life. Having courageous conversations that connect is key for a healthy relationship with ourselves and others. Knowing the right strategies and techniques aren't as simple as we think. There are principles to understanding how we all think and feel. Right now, you can join in my free quarantine talks to learn what others spend thousands of dollars in therapy to know. Each day, while we are in quarantine at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can watch, listen, and learn tips that will help you get through this challenging time in our lives. Here's the good news. There is absolutely no cost for you to participate. Tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and the Gram at Ask Dr. RG. I look forward to seeing you join our crew. And that's connecting relationships for epic wins. Have a beautiful day on purpose. From my heart to yours. Hey, good morning. This is Dr. RG here. This is July 23rd, 2020, and this is the Courageous Conversations Connect Space Quarantine Talk. So good morning. Good morning, everyone. 20 weeks in quarantine, and we're still rolling. And I just want to welcome everybody to the show. I see Billy Joe already, and there's some other people hopping on. I see Mama Stokes, Nicole, how things going in Martha's Vineyard. People still not socially distancing, Nicole. And I see Charlotte. Good morning, Charlotte. Welcome. Good morning. Listen, make sure, guys, that I see some people are on YouTube, some people are on Facebook. Let people know that we're here. Our crew is here, connecting relationships for epic wins. And if you know people that are looking for good content, they're looking for people to help them to deal with these two pandemics, COVID-19 and systemic racism. If you want a safe space to really process, let people know to go on over to our YouTube page. It's Ask Dr. RG, AskDrArgie. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then also hit the notification bell, and that allows people to know that we're here and that we're doing really, really great things. Misbehaving on the island. I see you, Miss Mama Stokes. Ridiculous. I don't understand it. We got some stuff to talk about today for sure related to that. Good morning, Stephanie Stewart. I see you. Welcome to the show. I see Deborah. Good morning. Good morning, Jen. Happy birthday, dear. I hope that you are celebrating your birthday time and another spin around the sun, if you will, again. Listen, we are talking today about all week, really decreasing fear factors. That's what's our conversation. Something's got to give. Literally, something's got to give. I got that from a movie years ago. I think it was Meryl Streep, and I forget who her love interest was, but it was called Something's Got to Give. I always like that statement because I was like, when you've had enough, when you feel like enough is enough, like something's got to give, and it's up to us to make the changes. So that's what we're talking about all week. But specifically today, I said grab your, a young person, if you can, a teenager, a young adult, perhaps your child, bring them onto the platform. We're going to be having what I consider to be a courageous conversation. It's called Anxiety Busters, bridging the gap between parents and their kids, right? Anxiety busters, because we're all anxious. Parents are anxious, kids are anxious, young adults are anxious. If you're in the middle like me, you're a baby boomer, so you're not dealing with small children, but you're dealing with your parents who are in their 80s. It's all challenging, right? Angie's on. Good morning, Angie. China, welcome to the show. That's what we're talking about. Welcome, IG family. I haven't forgotten about you. Thank you for joining, of course, our YouTube family and our Facebook family. This is the Courageous Conversations Connect space where you can have quarantine talks, a place where you can have space to process all of it, quite frankly. We turn pain into power when we appreciate the process. Good morning, Megan. She says, great topic. Thank you very much. So listen, we're going to take a quick break from our sponsors. And while we're doing that, I want you all to think about who you're going to breathe for who you're breathing for, who you're breathing with, who you're praying for. When we come back, we're going to get into our breathing exercises, and then we're going to get into our conversation. So stay with us, tag a friend, share this video, and we'll be right back. Hi, I'm Dr. R.G. Allen Wilson. You may recognize me as a leading relationship expert for TV programs such as CNN, The Today Show, Good Day Philly, Fox 29, Tamron Hall Show, Mel Robbins Show, and local and national radio shows, just to name a few. I want to invite you to a very awesome opportunity that will enhance your life. Having courageous conversations that connect is key for a healthy relationship with ourselves and others. Knowing the right strategies and techniques aren't as simple as we think. There are principles to understanding how we all think and feel. Right now, you can join in my free quarantine talks to learn what others spend thousands of dollars in therapy to know. Each day, while we are in quarantine at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can watch, listen, and learn tips that will help you get through this challenging time in our lives. Here's the good news. There is absolutely no cost for you to participate. Tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and the Gram at Ask Dr. RG. I look forward to seeing you join our crew, and that's connecting relationships for epic wins. Have a beautiful day on purpose, from my heart to yours. And good morning. This is Dr. RG here for your Courageous Conversations Connect Space Quarantine Talks. And we are celebrating Jen DaCosta's birthday. And so happy birthday, Jen. You are a wonderful member of our crew, Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins. And we need to know what you did. So you're sharing what you did for your birthday, Jen. Jen says, I've celebrated the night away once midnight hit, waiting on breakfast from mom and dad. Thanks very much for my birthday wishes. And I love you. So blessed to have you as a part of my life. Well, we love you too, Jen, very much. And that is really awesome that your mom and dad are making you breakfast, and just do some R&R, take care of yourself, put that oxygen mask on first, and celebrate, right? The life that we have here, there are no dress rehearsals. We'd only get one, right? And we can either count every day or make every day count. And if we get another day around the sun, right, 1 year younger, if you will, or older, then that's something to be celebrated. All right. So, and Angie's on. She says she's got, I've got a college senior and recent college graduate. Both are at work right now. I'm 50, so I guess I'm a Gen Z. Excited to hear the show today. Awesome. Awesome. Yes. 50, I don't know, is 50 Gen Z or baby boomer? I'm not sure, Jen, or Angie. Gen X, I think I'm a Gen X. Laugh out loud, she said. And Jen said she feels like she's 20, laugh out loud. That's awesome. Dr. Gail is on. Good morning, Dr. Gail. Thanks for joining the crew. And Larissa's on. Good morning, Larissa. So let's get into it. Tell me, it's 10:09. Who are you breathing for? Who are you breathing with? Gen X, Megan says. Okay. Who are you breathing for? Who are you breathing with? And how are you utilizing your internal resources to help others? We're going to get into our breathing exercises. I'm going to tell you who I'm breathing for and with. I'm still breathing for and with the King family, or the Hill family, really. Young King Hill, you all heard about his life being taken way too soon. The babysitter is being accused. Father dropped the babies, gave the baby to the stepfather, gave the baby of the little boy to the babysitter. And then she said she dropped the baby off at the mom's, but she never did. And now they have found, or they're still looking for this little boy, but they have confirmed that he is no longer with us. So I'm praying for that family. I'm still also praying for the family of Breonna Taylor, because her murderers have not been charged yet. And I'm praying for all those essential workers. We are going into a second wave, I'm sure of it. It's not happening in the moment. There's just various hot spots, but before you know it, it's the end. It's almost August. That's going to fly by. We're going to be in fall. It's going to be the flu season, and we're dealing with COVID-19. Don't conflate them. They are two different things. And when the flu season hits, that ends up attacking quite a few people ordinarily, even with a vaccine. And now we have COVID-19. So those things are going to impact the system, and the system can often be overwhelmed, which then means that we don't get the care that we need. And we know Black and brown people are not having the same levels of access anyway. We're also going into the voting season, right? So we understand that Vice President Biden is choosing a candidate in August, and then they're going to be blitzing all over, probably in social media as well, in a race for the highest office in the land come November. And so we've got to really do a campaign and get out there and make sure that people understand that they have to vote. So there's a lot of things for us to be dealing with. And so we need to be having courageous conversations. So Larissa says she's breathing for teachers and parents who are fearful about returning to school. I've been thinking about that a lot, Larissa, as well. And so, yes, let's breathe for those teachers and those parents and those children who are very anxious about going back to school. All right, let's get into our postures. Back straight as you can. Kind of move them your back to loosen it up a little bit. Put your middle finger to your thumb, or your one hand, right hand over the next one on your lap, or to your sides. Let's get relaxed. And at the sound of my voice, when I count to 3, we're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. But we're going to hold it for 8 seconds in honor of that 8 minutes and 46 seconds that George Floyd had a knee on his neck. It represents all of the injustices that have happened to Black and brown people for 401 years. And the knee was on his neck even beyond that. So we're going to hold it for 8 seconds. We're also breathing in oxygen, breathing out carbon dioxide, and breathing in hope and peace and love and serenity, and breathing out fear and worry and anxiety and anger and resentment. Nicole says, yes, know that we are fearful to return to school. Yeah, so we're definitely breathing for those teachers and for those children and for those parents. All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Feel that in your belly. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good. Make it count. One last time, crew. Big breath. Breathe in. And breathe out. Yeah, that felt good, right? Feel that in your body, in your lungs, in your heart, in your brain, in your blood vessels. That oxygen needs to get in. We know that when people do get COVID-19, often it affects their respiratory system. Sometimes they get pneumonia in one or both lungs and they can't breathe. So we're breathing for anybody that is impacted and affected by COVID-19. They're doing testing. Shout out to Dr. Ayla Stanford of the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium. They were doing antibody testing at our home church, Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church, with Pastor Alan E. Waller as the senior pastor. They were doing that yesterday. It wasn't open to the public. It was anybody who had already tested positive, and they were testing for antibodies because that's going to be a part of the treatment. People who have antibodies, they're not saying necessarily that if you have antibodies, you cannot get it again. I do know one person that has gotten at least twice and is dealing with pneumonia now. So I'm continuing to pray for her. And so you can get it again. But the cool thing about if you do have antibodies is you might be able to donate those antibodies, and that could be helpful for a certain form of treatment for those persons who do come down with COVID-19. So that's really, I think, very helpful. And again, Dr. Ayla Stanford and her group, they've been really making a big impact in the tri-state area, Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware, testing, hitting the ground running, just like Morgan and I in this platform. Quarantine Talks have been doing our work since day one of the quarantine and get our community give back. There are many other people out there that are doing this work. I want to bring your attention to someone new that has come into our lives, Dr. George Tabby and Andy. What I want to say his last name. I can't say what has been in my mind. So Andy Carmona. And there's a couple of other business partners that are out there in Miami, and they have a truck where they're testing and doing the good work that Dr. Ayla Stanford is doing here, but they're doing it in Miami. They're taking their truck. It's called the Ask Tabs Wellness Center, and they're educating people in the community. They're doing antibody testing. You can follow them. I don't have all their information, but I will put it in the post so that you can follow what they're doing. They're making an impact as well in that particular community. So we need to just keep everybody that's doing this work, we need to make sure that we're highlighting them and making sure that we are breathing and praying for them, that they will make an impact in our communities. Mother Belva Waller is on. Hey, Mother Waller, thank you for joining our show. You have just made me so excited that you're on our show today. This is our crew, Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins. And for those of you who do not know, Mother Belva Waller is the mother of our pastor, our senior pastor, Dr. Alan E. Waller, at Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. And so she sometimes follows Morgan and I in terms of social media. She doesn't necessarily live in Philly, but we miss her dearly. Mom Waller, we miss you. And we just continue to pray for you. And we're so excited that you've joined our show as well today. Jen says, absolutely fine. Your breathing technique so relaxing. It felt even more special on my special day. Awesome. We definitely are keeping you prayed up, and you're doing some great work within your church community. I know, Jen, that you're a deacon. I know that you go out and you help the community. And I also know that you're an essential worker. So we need to keep all of our essential workers prayed up because they're doing the work for our community. Right. So listen, we're going to get into our conversation today, which is all week we've been talking about how to decrease fear factors, right? Whatever fear stands for you. For us, we said fear stands for either forget everything and run or face everything and remain, right? Remember, give us a thumbs up, our hearts, our smiley faces. It helps with our algorithms. Go on over to our YouTube page. If you haven't, it's Ask Dr. Argie, AskDrArgie. Hit the notification bell, subscribe to us. And specifically today, we want to talk about something's got to give. How do we deal with anxiety busters when we're bridging the gap between our parents and our kids? And I'm talking about of all ages. So if you're a parent and you have younger children, how do we bridge that gap and talk about anxiety that we're all feeling with regards to this quarantine? Or if you're like me and you're a Gen, I don't know, we're the baby boomers, and you're dealing with maybe your older parents. My father is 85. And I wanted to share a story with you guys about something that happened just recently with my dad. So we're talking about bridging the gap. And I was convicted, so I want to be transparent with you all. Talked to my dad yesterday. I talk to him every day. He called me about something. And, he has a little bit of a memory lapse at times, but, nothing major. But, it's the short-term memory that's challenged. His long-term memory is amazing. And it was kind of in the middle of my day. And I knew I had a really, really long day until late at night. And so I got a little bit agitated. And so I said to him, when he asked me a question, well, I had just talked to him, and then he called me back. I had told him I'm about to go into session. He called me right back. He says, hey, and he had this question for me. And I said, Dad, you keep asking me that. You asked me the same question. And then he said, well, what do you expect? I'm 85. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, Dad. I said, I really didn't mean to be agitated. I understand. He was agitated with me. I was kind of agitated with him. And I had to take a step back because the truth is, my dad is the guy that has been there. He's the one that loved me as a man before I grew up when I was a little girl and did, the best job that he could to take care of all of his daughters and my mother. And now he's 85 and needs a little bit of help. Certainly, I do a lot, but sometimes what we have to do is take a step back. And in that moment, I had to breathe. I had to take a step back. I had to remember that even though my dad really looks great, like he's 85, but if I showed you all a picture of him, he kind of looks like he's 65. I shout out to Mother Waller, who looks really young too, right? But sometimes we have to kind of remember, how would we want to be treated for us that are younger when we get to be that age? Would we want our children to kind of get agitated with us if we repeat ourselves or if we ask the same question? So I humbly said to him, my bad, Dad, I apologize. I didn't mean to upset you. What is it that you need? And I answered the question, and then we went on about our day. Well, fast forward to later that night, I'm talking to a friend of mine, and she was stressed out because her father has dementia and is going on a steep decline and can't really remember a whole lot, and is now in the hospital and very agitated and having some paranoia and those kinds of things. And I thought to myself, this is why I was convicted, because while that's not the case for my dad, he does not have dementia, although he has some short-term memory loss right now, I could be my friend dealing with what her situation is in the hospital. And so sometimes we have to just remind ourselves of having an attitude of gratitude, remind ourselves of how we can get a little bit agitated just because we're human, forgive ourselves for it, recalibrate, and then address whatever the issue is. There is no shame in being wrong. The shame sometimes is if you're not able to admit that you're wrong, or if you're not able to acknowledge that you've made a mistake or an error and then correct it, do a quick course correction. So that's my story. I see Teresa saying, I know, how I relate. So listen, if you've got a story about how you have had to deal with your own anxiety, I've got some tips for you in a minute. But I'd love for you all to share your story about how you bridging the gap with your parents that are seniors. How are you bridging the gap if you are a parent of young people, a teenager, a child, a young adult? These age gaps are huge. And if we don't bridge them, then oftentimes we don't have the power that we need to grow through this experience that we're dealing with. Y'all know I always talk about, and Mother Waller attests to this because I got this from Pastor Waller, that there's 4 quarters if you follow football. And my uncle was, professional football player, Hall of Fame, Leroy Kelly. So I learned this really early on. There's the first quarter, but we're going to relate that to everyday life. First quarter is 0 to 20. Second quarter is 21 to 40. Third quarter, talking to IG family as well, third quarter is 41 to 60, right? Fourth quarter, 61 to 80. And then if you're in overtime, 81, you're in overtime. You kind of won the game. However, here's the deal. Like, we have to learn different tasks for communicating with various generations. So if you're in your first quarter, how do you communicate to somebody that is in their fourth quarter? They got a whole lot to teach us because they've lived life. That's why I actually asked for you all to do that little challenge, if you will, which I'm still going to collect. I'm still collecting, by the way, pictures of people who have lived to be, if you have family members of or friends that are 90 or above, right? I said I could do 85 as well. So if you have somebody that's 85 and above, send their picture to us, put it on our Ask Dr. RG Facebook page, and a little blurb about what they would have to say about the younger generation, to the baby boomers, the Gen Zs, the Gen Xs, the millennials. What do they have to say about what's going on today? How can we gain from their knowledge? I'd love to hear from Mother Waller if she wants to share even now. What can we learn from you about how to manage in the midst of a crisis, how to hold on to your faith and not get too sucked into your fear, right? How to deal with the bridging of the gap between the next generation. How do you calm yourself? when we're in the middle of a storm. Those are things that I think we need to learn from the next generation. And like my story, and Treasure says she can relate, what do we do when we've got to take a step back, acknowledge that we're a little anxious ourselves because a lot of people are working from home and dealing with their challenges. And sometimes if they're not working, they're dealing with maybe more month than they have money. Whatever the challenge is, what we have to do is we have to address it with kindness. And we have to try to relax our anxiety. Remember, when we are anxious, we are worried, we are fearful about the unknown, it increases our adrenaline hormones, it increases our cortisol hormones, and that causes us not to be the best versions of ourselves. So if we're snappy at anyone, right, but specifically if we're snappy with our seniors, I want to appeal to us, chill out, take a step back like I did, apologize. Like I apologized to my dad and said, I didn't mean to upset you. And then he said, well, you did upset me. And I was like, well, I'm sorry. That was not my intent. I understand, because I also recognize that he understands that he has a bit of a memory loss sometimes. And he's, not happy with that, but he's trying to deal with it and manage it. How do you reset your mindset? Reset your mindset. So there, remember, we talked about this before, guys, too. There are 5 things that you can do to adjust to your new norm, right? 5 things. The first thing is to accept that we're in a different space now. We're dealing with these 2 pandemics. We're trying to reduce our anxiety. So accept that this is a marathon, not a sprint, and that we are stronger together. Once you accept it, then you move into adjusting. That's where you reset your mindset. You adjust your mindset to what can I do versus what can't I do. You adjust your mindset to what do I have versus what don't I have. You adjust your mindset to, hey, there is a silver lining in all this. Maybe I have a little bit more time on my hands and I can use that to reinvent myself. Whatever it is, you move to a place of readjusting. Then after acceptance and readjusting, you move to adapting. That's when you start gearing up your skills, your tools, your the ways in which you address or strategize to get to this next level, right? And this is a place where people are reinventing themselves all day, every day, getting to a new level. You can do that too. Once you adapt, you move to a place of appreciation. That's the 4th A. Appreciate how far you've come. We are 20 weeks in, guys. 20 weeks, right? Who knew that we could survive 20 weeks of quarantine? For those of you who are behaving yourself and socially distancing and wearing your mask and, doing the necessary things, washing your hands, looking out for your folks. Sorry, I forgot to put this on. Forgot to put it on. Do not disturb. There we go. And then the 5th A is that once you do all of that, once you accept, once you adjust, once you adapt, once you appreciate, then you can begin to acknowledge a new attitude. Your new attitude. What does that look like for you? Can you reset? Can you take a step back? And as far as bridging the gap, I don't know if y'all been seeing what's going on in the news here, not just in Philly, but all over. It's not been confirmed, but people have been saying that they've been having COVID-19 parties. I got that from one of my clients who's a young adult. And the COVID-19 parties, or the coronavirus parties, are for young people to go to the party with someone who actually has it, or they may not know, and see if the first person that actually gets the virus wins the game, if you will. It's like a challenge. And so, not confirmed yet, but there was a report of a doctor in, I forget where they were, but this doctor said that she was working with a young person who was dying from COVID-19. And one of the last things that he said was, so this is true. I think I made a mistake. Think about that. For the young people out there that are not believing that this is not a hoax. People are dying. We've got over 100,000 people dead in the United States due to COVID-19. Over 200,000 people that have been, had been diagnosed with this, and the numbers are climbing. We got to get the message out, and we got to bridge the gap. So here's what I'm asking you all to do. Remember, I do acronyms, right? So last week we talked about, a couple weeks ago it was, cutting yourself some slack. Last week it was get gritty. What is your grit? And everybody put their various acronyms in for their grit. This week we talked about, and a little bit last week too, fight. What fight are you in? Are you in a fight? What kind of fight are you fighting in? What are you going to use that fight for, right? My fight was forgiveness, right? The F stood for forgiveness. The I stood for being innovative, or in my good intention rather. The G stood for being grateful, as a grateful giver. And then H, humanity, that I'm a fighter for humanity. This is why we're doing this work on this platform. And then finally, the T was treat yourself, treat myself and others with kindness and respect. So that's what my fight is. You all can tell me if are you new to this platform, have other people come onto the platform, tell me what your fight is. But I want to give you a tip for communicating and bridging the gap with the younger generation. Or with the older generation, if you're working with someone that's older, who might be agitated. Remember, older people get agitated too. They're in isolation too. The best thing that we can do is stay connected to them, either through face chat, use Google Duo. I told you guys about that very, very early on. If you have a Android and somebody has an iPhone, you can do Google Duo, which allows you to connect with them through video chat so that you can see them. It's a good tip to teach your older people if they're on any kind of utilizing any kind of form of communication, like just a phone, or if they have an iPad or some kind of electronic device. Teach them how to do that so that they can see you. A tip that I actually heard that was really helpful for older people, if you have children, is have them to say goodnight by reading your kids a bedtime story. That makes them feel like they're connected. But here's the acronym that I'm going to give you in terms of bridging the gap with your young kids as well as your parents. It's called PACT, right? Make a pact. You know how you make a pact with someone, right? If you make a pact with someone, it's an agreement that you are going to stay connected with whatever it is that you have said. So it's a pact, a formal agreement that you will show up for each other. So do this with your children, do this with your older people, do this with yourself. Say, I'm going to make a pact with myself that we're going to grow through this together. Angie says, I'm anxious about our daughter going back to college for her senior year. I'm pretty sure she'll wear her mask, but with 21 years of age, parties, and it's such temptation. I absolutely agree, Angie. I do understand that. That's why this is so important, right? What I'm talking about right now in terms of making that pact, because there's a lot of people very concerned. I have a client that she's going to be going back to school in the South as well. Her parents are getting her an apartment with 3 of her friends, so that at least, quite frankly, all the programs really are online. They're saying the colleges that it's a hybrid, but they can't put people in 30 students or more in a class together. So pretty much all the classes are going to be online anyway. But for this particular client, at least she'll have her senior year with her friends and not home, because quite frankly, I think a lot of parents are ready for their kids to kind of go back to school, and they're, in a healthy and safe way. And a lot of children for sure are ready to go back to school. They just don't want their children to be harmed. And certainly the kids are concerned as well. So the PACT, PACT, write that down if you got a pen and paper, because this is going to be your pact for your children or for your parents. First of all, the P is for pause. Just pause for a moment, just like I had to do yesterday with my dad. Pause, take a step back. And when you're pausing, breathe, reflect what's happening now, identify your own anxiety, tap into your anxiety. Where is it? And how are you being triggered? Yesterday, I was being triggered because I just was busy. And at the same time, I still wanted to attend to my father, but I was busy, and I realized all the work I had to do. So that's where my anxiety was coming from. and then respond. Always have a plan to do that. Pause first, breathe, reflect, identify your anxiety or triggers, and then you respond with a plan. That's the P. So when you're having these conversations, say, okay, we're going to make a pact that if we're getting too anxious or we're getting too snappy or we're not the best versions of ourselves, we're going to pause. Next, the A stands for acknowledge your intention. So when I said to my dad, hey, Dad, it wasn't my intention to upset you. That was me acknowledging my intention to stay connected. I call those qualifiers. If you're ever getting into a courageous conversation, or even when you're having an argument with someone, or something that's you feel like it's going to be difficult, just say, listen, it's my intention for us to have a healthy conversation. It's my intention for me to love on you, for me to affirm you, but I still need to have this conversation. I see you more. And then C, communicate the way you wanted the communication or the communication to be, with the goal of understanding, planning, and action, right? Communication is always going to be key, right? So when you are acknowledging that you are having a healthy, some kind of intention, then when you get to the communication, you can say, hey, listen, I want us to connect. I want us to communicate. I want to hear you. I want to understand you. Every time we talk does not mean healthy communication is going on. Sometimes the message sent, quite frankly, is not the message that is received. We got a miscommunication. So if you're able to communicate where the message sent is the message received, and at best you have some understanding, even if you don't have complete agreement, then you're moving in the right direction. So the goal for the communication, keep this in mind, is understanding, planning, and action. Because then you say, okay, what do we do now? For Angie, who's talking about being fearful about her daughter going away to school, then you all need to communicate about that. Nicole says, forgiveness of myself for where I have fallen short, intention, connectivity, gratitude for the life I live, and healing racism and our global world. Trust humanity to show up for one another. I love that. I love that, Nicole. And I just need to finish the T because it's packed, and then we're going to take a quick break, right? Okay, so the T is treat with kindness, recognizing that we're stronger together. We are interdependent on each other to live. So that's your pact, right? I want you all to utilize that. And we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about how you're using your pact to help yourself and help each other. Stay with us. We will be right back. On the same platform. I was talking to my IG family. Sometimes I was saying it's a little bit difficult to look up and look down, but I have not forgotten about my IG family. I am grateful to you all for coming onto that platform and for staying connected with our crew every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So listen, this is Dr. RG from the Courageous Conversations Connect space. We are in Quarantine Talks, and we are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 a.m. If you don't know, if there's somebody out there that you think could use this conversation, could use this courageous conversation, if you think there's somebody out there that's anxious, like today, we're having a conversation about anxiety busters and how to bridge the gap between our parents and our kids, right? And so if you know people that could benefit from being in a safe space and talking, have them come on over to our platform. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 a.m. on IG, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Dr. Gale says, my dad repeated himself also. Yes, repetitive comments were taxing sometimes, but it was easier for me when I thought about his condition. Absolutely. And so Dr. Gale is so right when we think about the fact that really, I guess what grounded me, and I knew that I did the right thing to take a step back, Dr. Gail, and to really focus on what really matters. I had to redirect my energy. Is it important for me to just, get agitated and, be disrespectful because I've got to work? Or is it more important for me to connect? I guess that's the thought. Am I trying to connect or am I trying to disconnect? And when I talked to my friend later that evening, and she said that her dad was having dementia and paranoia and feeling like people were out to get him, I was like, praise God that that's not my story at this juncture. And that I do have a dad that the only issue right now is that a little short-term memory loss, but I could be more gracious. Here it is. I'm talking about my grit, right? And how I'm gracious in the moment. And in the moment, I wasn't very gracious. So I had to acknowledge that and realize, okay, I'm going to be 80, Lord willing, I'm going to be 85 at some point, right? And when I'm 85, I pray that my bonus children will be gracious with me if I have some short-term memory loss or if I am repeating myself or what have you. So what's your pact, guys? IG family, I want you to weigh in. Facebook family, YouTube family, what pact can you make with your children? Angie, when you're talking to your daughter who's going away to school, how can you make a pact with her that you can stay connected in this relationship, right? How do you bridge that gap from the younger generation to the middle-aged generation to the older generation? Remember, you can win in any quarter. And thank you, Cynthia, for sharing that you love my transparency. Listen, this is about truth, trust, and transparency. We always say truth, trust, and transparency leads to transformational breakthroughs. And I can't do this work with you, right? This healing work, quite frankly, if I'm not honest with you, if I'm not transparent with you. I'm human. Morgan is human, just like you are. And we are all on this journey together. Quite frankly, I believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And as we have this human experience, it's incumbent upon us to tell our stories. That's why I lead with my story. And my story is not always, I've done everything right. Sometimes my story is like yesterday, I got it wrong, right? And I had to recalibrate. I had to, readjust my attitude, if you will, reset my mindset quickly, right? And then I had to remember my pact with myself, quite frankly, to breathe and reflect and then identify what's triggering me and then respond differently, acknowledging what is my real intention with my father. If my intention is to connect, well, the way that I responded to him didn't connect. And he kind of challenged me. He was like, well, what do you expect? I'm 85. And I was like, yeah, you're right. If I was 85, I would expect for somebody, especially somebody who says that they love me, to be gracious with me, right? To be patient with me, to be understanding with me, and then to be supportive of me. This is about bridging the gap. And each of us has to ask ourselves, are we the best version of ourselves in this moment? Right? Are we the best versions of ourselves? Are you the best versions of yourself? For those who tell me, yeah, I'm great all the time, I function on a high level, I do everything right. Well, that's probably not accurate, because none of us gets it right 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How else do we grow if we don't identify where we fall short, where we're not the best versions of ourselves, where we are challenged, where we are triggered, and then begin to roll up our sleeves and do the necessary work to get to the next level, to become the best versions of ourselves? So what's your pact? How are you bridging the gap? Angie, how are you bridging the gap with your daughter? For those of you who are working with your older parents, how are you bridging that gap? For me, sometimes it's just listening. Remember when we talked about cutting ourselves some slack? Sometimes you got to listen, learn, and then lead. Show up differently. If you showed up not in a good way the day before, show up differently. Make a pact with yourself to show up differently. And then commit to it so that you can be kind to yourself and to others. My mother used to say, who I miss dearly every single day, there is not a day that goes by without me not thinking of my mother. But I also remember she used to say, it's nice to be important, RG, but it's more important to be nice. And that's kind of when I came up with the Slack, how are you showing up, and then how are you listening, learning, and leading? And then how are you acknowledging and then committing and then being kind? When I came up with those acronyms, I thought about myself and ways in which I then sometimes fall short and how I can course correct quickly to move to a healthier place so that I can not burn bridges, if you will. And so I can stay connected. Angie says, I'm going to make sure that I use my pact to listen, to hear her fears instead of letting my fears cause me to talk over her. I love it. I love it. Yes, Angie, that's absolutely it, right? More is caught than is taught with children. And sometimes we just have to listen to them. And out of our anxiety and out of our fear, sometimes we do talk at and talk over rather than to talk with. I love it. BJ says patience, acceptance, courage, and time. Knowing that I'm feeling better as time goes on. Accepting that time I need and having the courage to have the patience to go through the process and heal. So I love it, BJ. So that's your BJ's acronym. That her pact is patience, acceptance, courage, and time. To know that she is feeling better, and as time goes on, she accepts that she needs and to have courage and have patience to grow through the process. I love it. I love it. So listen, see what we're doing in our crew? This is the goal for our crew, Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins, is to empower us from the inside out. Remember, Courageous Conversations Connect, it talks about a pathway to reset your mindset with intentional thoughts from the inside out. We are not only stronger together, but as we build our emotional strength muscles, as we use our PACT, right, our acronyms to ground us, to build a foundation and build that fortitude that helps us in our relationships. Tommy says, positive regard is always a good thing. I love it, right? Positive regard is always a good thing. Get the book, Courageous Conversations Connect. If you haven't, right, if you haven't got this trusty book, listen, this is a book that I keep by my bedside, along with some of my other staples, right? Y'all know my staples. Who Moved My Cheese is a staple of mine. Book, The 4 Agreements is a staple of mine. The 5 Love Languages is a staple of mine. Those are books that I read over and over and over. And it is my prayer. It is my hope. It is my wish. And it is my desire that people say this about Courageous Conversations Connect too, right? That this is a book that they keep by their bedside and they've got it dog-eared. You see how I have my book dog-eared? I dropped some stuff. I have it dog-eared. I have various parts of it. I run through it. If once you get through the whole book in the whole year, which is set up for you to have the courageous conversation with yourself first, with the first chapter, Radical Self-Care and Action. The second chapter, The Cost of Love, Money, Sex, and Kids, How to Win in Your Relationship. The third chapter being how to have a healthy life while in the midst of a transition. And the fourth chapter is how to live your best life now. This staple right here, I believe, will get you through some courageous conversations, also give you calls to action, list of things that you can actually do to manage and navigate those courageous conversations like we're having now with the bridging of the gaps between the young people and the older people, between parents and their kids, between us, our baby boomers, and our senior generation. And then, quite frankly, journaling that process, right? Angie said, just got my book. Yay! Thank you, Angie. Thank you so much for supporting us. I'm looking forward to you sharing with us how the book is helping you to heal. We turn pain into power when we appreciate the process. Deborah says, it's my staple every day. Listen, guys, I almost want to tear up. You all are really making me know that I'm in the right lane. You are helping me. Just like you believe that I am helping you, you are helping me because you give me life, you give me energy, you give me fuel to continue to do what I believe that God has called me to do. And I do not take lightly that you all are standing here with me, sharing with me. You are a part of the crew, connecting relationships for epic wins 3 days a week. And also during the times when I'm putting out good content, you're DMing me, letting me know that I'm doing the right thing and that I'm helping people to heal. We believe in healing families one relationship at a time and transforming individuals, couples, and corporations one courageous conversation at a time. So consider gifting the book to a friend or a family member so that it can be their staple. You can go on our website at drrgconnects.com. If you actually want to purchase the book, you can also purchase it through Amazon or some of those other outlets. It's there, it's out there. I said, Deborah said, it's my staple every day. You can also reach out to us through our emails, or contact us at connectionsmatterllc.com. If you're interested in therapy, I've got some news for you all that we're going to revamp. We're revamping the website, and we're going to be doing some new things. We are actually coming back in August, the 1st of August, with some new information about the things that we can all do to help ourselves to be better. I came up with this second wave not because it was new information to me. They've been talking about the second wave for a while, right? And going into the fall, we've got to be prepared, guys. I do believe that people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. We've got to be prepared. Use this as a preparation opportunity to tool yourself up, right? To get into the courageous conversation with yourself, to create a pact with yourself first, and then with whomever else you are dealing with, whoever else you want to have a healthy relationship with. I had a client yesterday who basically said she went to a stream with her son, right? And it was awesome. And she said she would not have had the opportunity to do that if we were not in COVID. This is how we take the opportunity for our silver lining and to utilize it to our benefit, right? And if you're into reading, we are working on a project so that we're actually, hopefully in a couple of months, going to have the book on tape, on Audible. So you'll be able to not only have it by your bedside, but you'll be able to listen to it as well. We've got some great projects coming up right now, in the next couple of months. We're going to launch a lot of that in the fall so that we're going to hit it strong the last quarter. Remember, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, overtime. You can win the game in overtime, but why would you struggle like that if you could actually begin to do the necessary things in the first quarter, the second quarter? And that's what Morgan and I have been doing. We've been building. We hit the ground running in January of 2020. Who knew that we would be dealing with two pandemics, COVID-19 and systemic racism? Well, systemic racism we knew about because we've been dealing with it for 401 years, but we didn't know necessarily about the virus, and we didn't really understand that there would be all these super spreaders. I want to caution people to have the conversations with your young people about protecting themselves. As they protect themselves, they protect you. If it is true that they're having COVID-19 parties, these young people, because they believe that they're invincible, we've got to appeal to them that we need to connect together. We need to listen to our seniors. They have a lot to say. They've covered a lot of terrain over the years. And this is not their first rodeo. This is not the first time that they've dealt with crisis and storms and tests, right, along the way. That's not the first time that they've dealt with that. They have dealt with that for many, many years. And quite frankly, when you deal with storms, as I often say, our storms are meant to teach us something. They're meant to, this is week 49, that our storms are meant to correct us, constrict us, connect us, and change us, right? As we think about storms, we need to realize that storms pass and rainbows come after storms. Here in this excerpt, I say it's a natural realm. Storms clear the atmosphere from all the toxins in the environment. And it's our personal and spiritual realm that storms are meant to correct, constrict, connect, and change us. But most of us are in the middle of a storm, moving out of a storm, or moving into a storm. And the wonderful thing about storms is they don't last forever. They don't. So the question is, what will you do in the middle of the storm? What will we all do? How will we use each other? How will we connect with our crew? Connecting relationships for epic wins. How will we utilize our pact? How will we cut ourselves some slack? How will we get gritty, right? Use our grit to stay in the fight. How will we do all of those things? We can do it. We can do it because we are stronger together. And we are here for you. Morgan and I are committed to Quarantine Talks, this Courageous Conversations Connect space, a safe space for us to process early in the morning. If you haven't done this already, tell some friends about us. This helps with our algorithms. It gives us, give us the thumbs up and the hearts and the smiley faces. It really helps. And then share this video. If there are people that can't be on this platform at 10 o'clock in the morning because they're working or dealing with their kids, share this video with them. Say, hey, I got something that's going to help you, that's going to give you some tips that will help you to have these courageous conversations. That, as our community give back to you and your give back to us, since we're in this relationship, this reciprocal relationship together, it's helpful if you help us to help more people, right? And we just are thankful and grateful for all of you. So listen, I said I had some news to share with you. Come next week, Morgan and I are going to take a bit of a break. And since January, we went to Boca in Florida to visit with Morgan's spiritual father and our good friends. And we haven't had a break since then. We've been rolling. And even when we did take a few breaks from the show, I was still seeing clients. Morgan was still working behind the scenes, doing all the sales and all the marketing and all the engagements and things like that. And so we are going to take a little bit of a break. We will be on vacation and we will come back August 3rd at 10 a.m. August 3rd, Monday. So mark your calendars. You'll still get notifications that we're going to, and we, by the way, we may do some pop-ups. So stay tuned while we're on vacation and we're, doing some projects or whatever. We may do some pop-ups and give some good information out there to you all. So look out for us throughout that week. But really our goal, and hey, Mark, really, you haven't come on. You've been trusting me. You trusted me yesterday to do the producing.
Babe, you're doing a fabulous job, babe. A fabulous
producing,
job.
The directing. Fabulous I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
You hit the unmute button.
I did. I'm not muted. You can't. I can't hear you now. You muted yourself. You muted yourself. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah.
All right. I was saying, babe, that you trusted me yesterday to do the producing, the directing, and the hosting. I thought I could get everybody gave me. Then you called me and was like, what happened to the outro? Why didn't you do the outro? Well, I was like, I forgot.
I set you up. Got you ready to go, and make sure I put you in a good space so you could actually function and do, and you guys did well. Oh, Mom Waller.
Hey, Mother. You just made my day, Mother Waller, being on the show today. We love you so much.
Love you, Mom Waller. Love you to death. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Cynthia's on. Cynthia's on. Morgan says, well-deserved vacation. Nicole says, I'm happy for you all taking some love time. Yes, we're going to love on each other and relax and fuel up. We'll come back in August ready. Loretta says, enjoy your vacation. We'll miss you. Well-deserved vacation, Debbie says. Well-deserved. Yes, and Mother Wallace says, hello, Morgan.
It'll be a staycation, and I'll have a list of honeydew. I'll have a honeydew list, I've been doing so when you guys see where I'm not on, she says, well, Morgan's not on right now, whatever. You know what? I'm running around doing errands and honeydew lists. That's what I'm doing, okay?
Lots of them. He has a long list.
Oh my
You
goodness.
see that board behind him?
Doing a
That's
ton
like
of
the list
home
that I give
improvement
Morgan.
projects. A ton of home improvement projects, and I mean, we're cutting down. I don't know if you guys follow me on Facebook, but I put some pictures up the other day. I got these guys cutting down trees and putting up fences, and I mean, we got so many things going on. But
We're not
we are
going
truly
anywhere.
blessed. To God be the glory. I mean, things are well, and we're just thankful to be able to quarantine safely and still be able to do work. You know, as RG had mentioned many times, she is an essential worker for sure, helping people with their relationships, helping people with their mental health, because we all know during this time, people are truly challenged in reference to their mental health, and it's a struggle, and it's really a hardship, you know. And I my hat goes off to you, sweetheart, because you are doing a yeoman's job. I mean, really. I mean, she is in that office working and seeing clients back to back to back. And I'm working, doing my thing, setting up different workshops and seminars and webinars. And I always got to check the calendar and say, babe, can you fit this in? Can you fit that in? Can you work that in? Can you work that? You know, driving me crazy. You know, the calendar is just on fleek. It really is. It truly is. But we, you know, yeah, we get tired, but it's a good work that we're doing, and we feel like it's sort of a ministry, if you will. We believe that's what it is. So we continue to do the good work, and to produce good content. We just ask you guys to please share with your family and friends, invite them over. As RG mentioned, I mean, she really has done a great job in terms of letting you guys know we got some good things coming this third quarter that we're in right now, and going into the fourth quarter. Some great things coming down the pike. So just stick with us, hang in there. Hey, listen, also, if you guys have any family or friends, some business that you know would love to be able to be on sponsorship here, please tell them to contact us. Reach out to me at 215-789-6999, extension 1 or extension 2. Or they can email us directly at contactus@connectionsmatterllc.com. And I will certainly get back to them and let them know what the sponsorship options are available to them. All right. So that's it. Wanted to come on, let you guys know we'll be on vacation. It's now 11:03. 3 minutes. Staycation,
listen,
right? Staycation.
Tell babe, it's between us and the crew. We can't tell everybody because staycation so much. Right? then people have stuff for you to do.
Yeah, we'll probably pop on a little bit, and you know, so we'll see. All right.
Dr. Gale said you and Morgan are amazing individuals. I value you so much. Thank you, Dr. Gale. Thank you.
Billy Joe said a vacation. Yeah, Billy Joe, it'll be a vacation.
Vacation. I like that.
A vacation.
So remember, guys, too, that we will come on periodically to let you guys know how we're doing, just not doing the show and taking a little break from seeing clients. And then we'll be back refreshed the 1st of August. And so we just thank you so much. And we appreciate you. We don't take you lightly, all of you. We had a special treat with Mother Waller coming on the show. So God bless you, Mother Waller. We're praying for you and with you. And we just so enjoy even your comments on Facebook. I'm like, Mother Waller, why are you up so late? But we appreciate you, and happy birthday again, Jen. Enjoy yourself, and we will see you on August 3rd. We love you guys. There's nothing you can do about it. If no one else told you we love you today, we know that we love you, and have a beautiful day on purpose from our heart to yours.